Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10 NBA video. And we are actually not doing a top 10 by proxy. We're going to be doing a top 5. Well, wearing the Raptors chevron, of course, for the block of the NBA things that I'm taping. But we're going to be looking at 5 events, 5 NBA suspensions that changed everything. There have been a lot of drug suspensions, such as Roy Tarpley being banned for life after his drug problems. I think Chris Washburn also had that thing. We've also had expulsions of that one Toronto guy. I can't think of the guy off my head. The guy who kind of bet on himself, literally. And one of the main examples why betting sites on like are taking over everybody, like the 4 major leagues and beyond, even soccer, I think. But anyway, we're going to be looking at 5 incidents that just shook the NBA by suspensions. So, anyway, let's begin. Number 5 is Miles Bridges and his 30-game suspension in 2023. To me, the Miles Bridges thing is huge. This guy was a legend for Charlotte and all that. He was a good player. But unfortunately, domestic violence-related incidents ruined him, and he had a 30-game suspension. The NBA decided to come down hard on him. And Adam Silver doing a good job in making sure that domestic violence is not rewarded in any shape or form. It's kind of like Roger Goodell's missing the point with the whole thing to do with the Ray Rice situation. But yeah, the NBA got it right in this moment. Number 4 is the double Washington suspension in 2010. Washington had their own things. They were a pretty decent team, but then they just couldn't get through into the playoffs, into the Eastern Finals. The problem was in 2010, they lost 2 key players because of a locker room firearms incident. It was Gilbert Arenas, great guy, who wore number 0 on purpose to point out the percent chance that he was going to be in the NBA by people, and Various Couldnt with a 38-game suspension. Allegedly, there were some debts that had to be paid and all that, and basically they brought firearms into the thing to try to, shoot cowboy, if you will. Fortunately, though, interventions happened, and those 2 guys really got in trouble. It could have been a whole lot worse. They could have been criminally charged, if anything. But yeah, it kind of ruined Gilbert Arenas' career. And then Creedington did all that. But then there was scrutiny of arena workers and locker room conduct. So practically, things had to change. Number 3 is the Latrell Sprewell incident. Yeah, this doesn't seem like this is worse than it is, but practically Latrell Sprewell in 1997 ruined things. He was a decent player from the University of Alabama. He was a good basketball player for the Warriors. He didn't like PJ Carlesimo's tactics as a coach and all that. PJ had just came from Seton Hall, leading them to a couple of Sweet 16s. But anyhow, he was mad. He got confrontational with the head coach, and when the head coach wouldn't listen to his stuff, Sprewell decided to take the arm, to take the hands, and you know what, around the neck. And it was just shocking. Fortunately, though, Carlesimo was okay, and well, Sprewell really had paid the price. He was out for the rest of the year, all 68 games. That was actually the second longest suspension by games in NBA history, and he deserved it. Although Sprewell did come to his senses and became a decent player for the Knicks and a few other teams, that just ruined his career and all that. Number 2 is the punch heard around the world, 1977. At the Great Western Forum, where the Lakers played before going to the Staples Center, or what they call Crypto Center now, Kirby Washington was a decent player for the LA Lakers. However, the Lakers and Rockets were getting into some tussles and all that. It was a decent brouhaha, and then sensing trouble, Kermit Washington turned around and hit the first Rocket player who was attacking him, and that was Rudy Tomjanovich. The punch was so hard, and Rudy fell backwards on the parquet floor so badly he could taste his own spinal fluid. He had to have major reconstructive surgery. It kind of ruined his career and all that. Kermit was actually lucky to get a 26-game suspension and nothing worse than 26 games, but it practically ended his career. He did play a few more years after that, but it just ruined him. And Kermit did apologize to Tom Jonovich, and, he had to fess up to everything. But Rudy T did okay for himself because he became a star coach and helped the Rockets win back-to-back titles in 94 and 95, so there was a happy ending. Ugh. Too late, but whatever. But Kermit Washington just, I mean, he saw somebody flying towards him and he was just being defensive, but that's still no excuse. And number one, come on, you really think this is not number one? It's the Malice of the Palace. So, yeah, the Malice at the Palace is definitely number one. So, it was just a seemingly innocent match between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. The Pacers and Pistons actually bumped into each other in the conference finals, which saw Detroit win the series and then win the title. The Pacers were 6-2, and the Pistons were 4-3. ESPN would be on the call for this game. Mike Breen, who was the head guy for ESPN, alongside Bill Walton, the great Red Road, was there too. The Pacers were up 97-82. It looked like it was over. Well, the Pacers won. And then Ben Wallace was fouled behind by Artest. Unfortunately, Wallace got mad and shoved Artest in the face with both hands. And the two were separated. So, anyway. A lot of people said that, Rasheed Wallace should have got ejected for that. And of course, the referees huddled to discuss penalties. Artest actually went to the scores table and laid down on it, so he was kind of getting out of it. And all that. So, anyway, Wallace was being calmed down and all that. Both teams had their guys leave the bench, except for Tayshaun Prince. Anyway, Artest was lying on the table and all that. But then a spectator named John Green threw a plastic cup of Diet Coke at Artest, hit him in the chest, and Artest charged into the stands and all that. So, anyway. The fans were mad and all that. So, the fans kind of got into Artest's head and all that. So, the suspensions happened. So, anyway. Legal ramifications were for Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, Anthony Johnson, and David Harrison, 5 Pacers, who had to have a 1-year probation, community service, which was 60 hours for Artest, Harrison, Jackson, O'Neal, but 100 hours for Johnson, and anger management therapy. The Pistons didn't come out of it unscathed. Ben Wallace got a 6-game suspension for his stuff. Chauncey Billups got 1-game suspension. Derek Coleman and Eldon Campbell as well for leaving the bench. But thankfully, though, those were the only Pistons. The Pacers got bit. The 6 players. David Harrison got no suspension, but he still had to face legal consequences. Anthony Johnson got a 5-game suspension. Jermaine O'Neal was supposed to hit a 25-game suspension, but it was reduced to 15. Steven Jackson got 30 games, and Ron Artest was booted for the rest of the year. 86 games in total, 73 regular season, 13 playoff, which meant that his suspension broke the record for longest suspension by an NBA player of Latrell Sprewell's record. It was terrible. The fans, they deserve to get yelled at for their stuff. They started it, and I'm not condoning anything. I don't think the fans did anything nice. So, anyway, John Green got banned from all NBA events, and a lot of the fans did so too. I mean, I know they were trying to help their team, but they didn't help themselves. And then major ramifications happened for security and, of course, for fan interactions with players. So that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.